Yeah, so one person
Okay.
nominate a chair.
Yeah.
The two of you have
You
to
have to call
vote.
the meeting to order.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order as the policy / personnel subcommittee.
Perfect.
Thank you. So first we need a nomination for a chair.
I nominate Maura.
I don't think this is officially in a second, but I think we're good.
I guess second. Yeah.
Okay, and then you just
Okay.
vote.
All in favor?
All right, so Maura will be our chair, and could we entertain a motion to go into non-public?
I make a motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A, semicolon 3, Roman numeral 2. I don't know the letters.
Yeah, and for
Semicolon
transparency,
C.
we're discussing some feedback from or some information from our attorney regarding a policy. All right, so
All
we
right,
can
so
pause
we have
this.
to roll call. You
Yeah,
have to
roll call.
us and
Roll call vote.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I
Back
make
into
a
non-public.
motion to seal the minutes in perpetuity.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Okay, great, thanks.
All right.
You review, I take notes.
Okay, sounds
All
good.
right.
All right,
So the
I'll fix them
first
tomorrow.
policy we have to review is policy IC school year. Any discussion?
I think Christine could give you a little bit of an update on that one.
Sure. So in looking at some of the policies, and we're talking about the school year and looking at our schedules, this came up and I noticed that it wasn't in alignment with the NHDOE 306 laws. So this policy now reflects that law as to we go by hours, not days. So you can see that reflected in there. And we kind of use the school board policy from the state of New Hampshire as kind of a guide, and then followed what the 306 laws suggested we needed to do as far as hours go, et cetera. So that's what you'll see in there is some of the changes. So then it reflects what's currently in the 306 laws as of today.
Perfect. Yeah.
And even those are shifting a little bit. They're out for kind of realignment and they're drafting some new changes. Even with those changes, most of this will still be okay.
Okay.
So we might need to revise, but it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely we'll need
Okay.
to revise
Right.
because of our hours are in full alignment, the 945, the 990, all of that still aligned to what the state is requiring for time for students, whether that be elementary or secondary.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I read it. I didn't have any issues with it, and I mean, we need to be congruent and we need to follow law. So I'm good.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So
I'll make a motion to move it to the board for first read.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Thank you, policy. So moved. All right. Sorry. Someday I'll figure out how to flip back and forth between things here.
I know,
Right.
right? I feel like I take forever.
Okay.
Lots of tabs.
Policy IJL, Library Media Center and Materials and Adoption.
So I'll kind of speak to this, and then Christine, feel free to
Absolutely.
chime in. We've had a lot of conversations about this because we want to support the people who are purchasing books for the library and making sure that there's a process that keeps our libraries, they're public libraries, but they are school libraries. So they're a little bit different than the library that you go to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So, certainly we hire librarians, and the policy is designed. They are experts at staffing a school library. We're saying trust them, let them do it. But that doesn't mean that the board still approves the list of books that are purchased, and the board has the right to ask questions. And you'll see that this really is it's a two for a policy. So there's the IJL, which is the library material selection and adoption, and then there's the procedure that also goes with it. That's super important to remember, which is the media deselection and discarding policy. So there's really it runs parallel to the curriculum policy. If a parent has a concern about the curriculum, there's a process for them to follow to either not have their child participate in that component of the curriculum or to have curriculum materials removed. And this policy mirrors those policies. And we've worked really hard with Attorney O'Shaughnessy and the administrative team. We've had some very good debates and conversations. We think that this is the right way to go. And when you think about our librarians, I think of how much time and energy they spend into curating a library.
Mhm.
And so the policy supports them, and we do too. And when I say we, I mean the whole administrative team has worked on this policy. And for the public, it's important to remember policies go. So what will happen is we'll take either the NHSBA draft version, which is the School Boards Association, or we get a version from our attorney and we get feedback from our attorney, or both.
Mhm.
And sometimes we look at other districts too. And then we come up with a policy that we think will mirror the values of our community and the work that we do together. And then we bring the policy to the administrative team for review, because they're the ones on the front line enforcing it. So is it going to work?
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't want to be in a think tank, like just making stuff up or talking to other people and not ask the people that have to employ, roll out the policy and manage its execution in the community. What we want is to make sure that they have input before it comes to you.
Mhm.
And then that comes to you in this committee, and then it goes to the board for a first and second read, so that there are ample opportunities for the community to have input into the process of the creation of policy.
And this is not to be confused with instructional materials, as all instructional materials go through a very rigorous process, including the school board.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Between
Like
teachers,
CKLA. Right.
Between what we did for the math program, we
Right.
rolled out the math program, and also the reading program. Teachers are involved, administrators are involved, school board members are involved, those pieces. So this is something where it would just be library. So if a child wants to check out Frankenstein from Mary Shelley, it's more of an independent reading, or sometimes they're doing research projects, etc. It would be for those types of materials and not for something that's done in the classroom.
Right.
Okay.
And just to be clear, the second policy, so we'll just talk, if it's okay, I'll talk about both of them.
Yeah.
The second policy is for if you don't agree with something that's in the library.
Correct.
There's
It
a
goes through a
process to have that material removed from the library.
Mhm.
And it's a very rigorous and tricky process, because it's designed to protect the library's the nature of the library being that you look at things from multiple points of view. Right? It's designed to provide a mechanism while protecting. It's a balance. It's
Yeah.
really tricky. And we want to make sure that the process is clear and fair. And I think this policy does that.
But I also, at the end of the day too, all those books or anything would still be going through the final approval for the school board.
Yeah, always manifest approval process
Yes.
rests at the school board.
Okay.
Before it ends up in the library, you have the opportunity to comment on it.
Which I think we've gotten before, haven't we?
Correct, yes.
Oh, we had a board
Yeah.
member catch a really, really important book a year ago.
Mhm.
And when I got a copy of the book, I reviewed it, I worked with the people who ordered it, and it turned out to be something that we deemed probably wouldn't be appropriate for the library, but that wasn't what it was ordered for. So what Dawn and I talked about was trying to work to have the library book orders in their own purchase order, so that you can see the difference between a library book and this book was purchased for one specific student for a specific purpose for special education.
Mhm.
But it showed up on the manifest just as a book.
Right.
So once I did all the research and found out who bought the book and what happened, I was able to figure it out.
Okay.
And, I mean, we do talk about in our policy, and this goes back to the instructional policy, so I just want to make sure we're congruent, is we do talk about making sure that we present opposing sides of controversial issues, because this talks
Correct.
about, controversial issues. So I was recommending that when, books are being purchased, and if they are about, something that could be controversial, we make sure that multiple, you have to order more than one book on the topic, to present different
Correct.
perspectives, different, different factual,
Points of view.
facts, points of view.
Yeah.
But order them also on the same PO. So it's very clear that it doesn't get
Right.
bogged down
Yeah,
at
that's
the
fair.
board level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With and then, we had that issue where it was like, well, what is this book for?
Yep.
If they're bought on the same PO,
You can kind of see
it's
it
just
spread out as
easy,
alignment.
it's clear,
Right.
and that way it just stays congruent with, whatever else. And if for some reason there is a book that's being purchased and there aren't other books, it's say one point of view, but they're buying that book because there's already another point of view in the library. and
That's
they
what I
need
was
to
just
round
going to
it
bring
out,
up. Yes.
Then
That's
just, if there's a note or just something to go
Mhm.
along and say, hey, look, like when they're put it in the PO
we're
to
rounding
go
this out.
with
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just helps keep clarity. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it helps so that when we're signing manifests,
Mhm.
we know that we're
Right.
good, like we're covered and everything, and
And
that
then we
way,
don't have to ask
and we
you
don't
guys
have to
to
ask
do more
questions, and
work.
we don't have to tie things up. It just keeps things moving
Mhm.
Mhm.
without us having to stop and
Yeah,
say,
no,
"Oh, what's this all
we'll have to
about?"
work with
You
Matt
know?
Malilla on how that would look, because that was my question, Dawn, was, so just for the transparency
Yeah.
for public, the policy says provide materials on opposing sides of controversial
Right.
issues
Mhm.
so that students have an opportunity to develop under guidance skills in critical analysis
Yep.
and in making informed judgments in their daily lives. And what you're
Right.
saying, Dawn, is that if you're let's say you had a new topic,
Right.
whatever it may be, that on that PO you'd have at least 2 or 3 points of view
Right.
offered in the text.
Yes.
The complicating factor is that if you already have one point of view in the library, the PO might only reflect one point of view.
Right.
That's
So
And
you're
on the-
suggesting either put a note or
put
be
a note-
prepared
Yes.
to talk about it.
Just so
and-
that if somebody flags it,
Yep.
we can just move it forward quickly and
Right.
say, yes, that's because we already have this.
Right.
You know, it
Right.
just to streamline the process so that things don't get flagged as when it
Right,
comes
yeah.
to us. You know, we
Yep.
don't want to slow down the process.
Mhm.
So if we can kind of just streamline,
Well, and
So we could have like some sort of form or some sort of document that when they're requesting it via the PO,
Mhm.
there's a note or something in there
Mhm.
that could say, X, Y, and Z is already in the library,
Yeah.
or this includes this purchase with these other titles as well. So then you could see it all laid out when you're looking at the manifest.
right, what we're really talking about is
Mm-hmm.
that this is more a procedure or a practice. For,
Right.
But like,
instead, it doesn't necessarily have
doesn't
to
need
be
to
written
be in the
into
policy,
here.
right? But what are we
But
going
that
to do?
needs to, I think
Yeah,
it would
sure.
really help so that we don't see something out there and flag it and take up time that we don't need to, especially where we're only meeting once a month.
Yep.
I think this would just help streamline the process.
And the other thing is that we should make sure that we'll talk with Matt Malilla and make sure that the board has the POs and the information. Like we try to get everything out to them at least a week in advance.
Mhm.
But if we're meeting once a month, then we'll try to get more information out. We're going to talk about that tonight because the board has to have a conversation about me paying bills in between,
Right.
right?
Yes.
POs and
Yep.
things. So that'll be a part of that conversation.
Great.
Right.
Perfect.
No problem.
Okay, yeah.
But the good thing is book POs aren't like the kind of people that need to get paid. They're not vendors.
Right.
Like they're vendors. They send us the
Right.
books.
They send us the bill,
But we can
usually
wait 2
that's
more
like
weeks to order the
a
books.
30-day, 30,
Right.
60,
Exactly.
90 type of pay
Exactly.
period.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
It's
we're
easy.
with once a month, and if we don't get it until it's already 3 weeks after
Yeah.
they've already put in for it, I don't want to tie things up
Yeah.
longer by
Well, we'll
Getting
work with
into-
the people, the librarians, to make sure that they're putting the
Yeah.
orders in so that they're congruent with the board meetings.
Okay.
So that way
Right.
they're not waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We don't have to. I don't want to be approving them, and Christine shouldn't be approving them and paying them without the board reading them.
Right.
So we're going to make
Correct.
sure that they go to the board and then get paid.
Right.
There are other bills that we're asking you to pay that are like
right,
vendor bills and things that really just have to get paid in a
Right.
timely manner.
right.
Yeah.
It's contracted.
The contracts.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than
So
that,
if you'd like,
So-
we were asking that you move those 2 policies
Okay.
to the board.
yeah. So I'll make a motion to move IJL and IJLR to the board for first read.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
And I'm sorry, those going to the board tonight?
No, they'll go
No,
for June
they'll go
5th.
to-
So
so
they'll
they're
have
not on
first
the
read
agenda
on
for
June
tonight.
5th and then second read in early August. But
Okay. Okay.
it's fine. You could have them, you could do first and
We
second.
could do first and we could decide.
You can decide that at the
We
board
can do
meeting.
it at the board meeting
Okay.
too.
I just didn't know if tonight I was gonna have to say something.
No,
Okay.
you're good
You
for
can just say
tonight.
we talked about these policies and they'll be
Yeah.
coming on June 5th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Or, yes.
All right. Personnel items to review, none?
Oh, we should
Oh.
mention
Oh.
that, what is
Oh.
the action on?
Oh,
Number
yeah, okay,
3.4.
on JBAB, make a motion to table the review of this for now. All in
do you need a
favor?
motion or,
Yeah, you should motion to table it.
okay,
Yep.
Okay.
fine.
All in favor?
Well, I'll second the motion.
Okay,
and then-
second motion, all in favor? Okay,
Thank you. And we don't have any personnel items this evening and we had our non-public prior to
Perfect.
confer with an attorney.
Right.
So we're good.
okay, our next meeting date is never.
We don't know yet.
I think we're June 5th.
June 5th, yes.
Yep.
Because we're going to have some
Yep.
cell phone stuff.
Yeah, we have a cell phone adjustment to the cell
that'll
phone
be
policy.
fun.
Okay.
Kids won't be super happy about that.
Meeting adjourned?
A meeting adjourned at 5:52.